Frankie, let's dive straight into it. 1-1 at Goodison Park. What's your thoughts?
It wasn't as painful as maybe it could have been. I did have just feelings that it might go all wrong. And like I said to you before in the preview, that all over the news we'd be coming in for some stick and everyone would be, oh, we told you so. Be careful what you wish for and everything else that they could have come up with. We didn't get that. And we've almost hung on and somehow scraped a result. But like we say, on balance, I think it was probably a fair result from two managers who are just a little bit anti-football, to be perfectly honest. And it just sort of petered out into a bit of a non-event. Really not what you want before an international break. We've now got 2 weeks before we can try and put some of what went on there right, and just maybe give the West Ham fans a glimmer of a lift. I'm not going to go as far as positivity. I don't think we're quite there yet, but just a bit of a lift, a bit of energy is what I think we're lacking at the moment. And we've got to wait now 2 weeks before we're going to get that opportunity. So I think everyone's just a bit flat, mate. Bit flat.
I think you've described the match well, but how do you feel about what you're seeing?
Yeah, I would have liked to have seen a little bit more. It's hard, isn't it? Because it's not progression. We've seen progression in terms of being organised and in terms of wanting to see. It's really weird. We're kind of getting a little bit what we almost got previously when Moyes came in, which is we kind of ask for certain things, we get given a few of them, yet we still don't seem to be happy. On balance, when sort of Moyes was here and we had all the issues that we had, I think we would like to have seen us have more possession. Well, we've got that now. We wanted to see more youth being given an opportunity. Well, we've got that now. So there's a few boxes that, you know, we would have been screaming for in a change of a manager that have been delivered. But the one that hasn't is still being on the front foot a bit more, being a bit more attacking minded, being a bit more entertaining, and so on. And it is, like I said, we said it again in the preview, it's probably because we've had so many years of pragmatic football that this feels worse than maybe it actually is. This is a different scenario, and we're looking at a bit of a new manager, rebuild, everything else. We're probably okay if we haven't pretty much suffered with our... And this is the thing as well, I think this plays into it. I feel like we've suffered as home fans for quite a while now.
Yeah.
Even when we had the European runs, Europe was great. But the home Premier League matches were not. And it just feels like where you spend a lot of your time, and most fans will spend most of their time, and that's not for everyone because plenty of people go away and do what they do. But for the vast majority of West Ham fans going over there as a home supporter in that stadium, which isn't the most enjoyable environment, paired up with very pragmatic football for as many years as we have been now, everyone's just crying out for, again, I call it energy. I call it, just a lift. And we're not getting that. And it's just becoming a bit frustrating. I'm feeling frustrated, partly because of the way the season's panned out as well. The fact that we've got nothing to play for there doesn't help. So that's a little bit frustrating. But I was fully acceptant of maybe 4 games or so ago that it was, we're going to have now for the rest of the season little mini moments is what I call them. So we had one against Arsenal, a London derby. You've gone there. What a day out. Fantastic. Great result. That's your little mini moment from now until the end of the season. We're going to have a few more of those. We've got Tottenham coming up. That'll be another one. But that's what it is. It's not a collective goal at the moment, I don't feel. It's not like we've got this thing that we're aiming for. Maybe the squad do. Maybe they do want to try and jump a few places and get a bit more money from a few positions up in the Premier League and stuff like that. But it doesn't feel that way. And I just also think that a lot of people felt like when you're in a nothing to lose scenario, then be a bit more ambitious and a bit more creative. But again, I still go back to he is building a organised football team at the moment. And while we all may have something in our mind of what we remember of David Moyes at Everton is a very different thing at the moment. And they've been a very, very good side. To go there and come away with a point, wasn't a bad thing.
Funny enough, Everton actually had more possession than us.
I saw that. I did see that, and I was shocked that we let Moyes have more possession.
The most West Ham thing ever, isn't it? We'll be hopefully a bit more possession based, a bit more of the ball, go away to David Moyes and have less of the ball than their side of it. How do you see this? Do you know how you spoke about maybe this is the period where he could be taking a little bit more risks? I think that's maybe where my frustration's creeping in, because I've got sort of pros and cons with Potter, and I'm very split. Some of them are, sometimes there's a decision to be made by the manager, and I'm not that bothered. So for the team against Everton, I wasn't that bothered who he named in central midfield. Ward-Prowse, Souček, Alvarez, Andy Irving, Lucas Paqueta, whoever he put, Carlos Soler, whoever he put in there, I wasn't that fussed. I could understand why he'd pick certain players and certain combinations, but as long as we had more of an attacking team, the base of midfield, I wasn't too bothered by. So what I'm trying to say is I didn't strongly feel one way or the other. But when it comes to Potter, I feel like I've got really strong opinions and feelings that are good, and I've got really strong opinions and feelings that are perhaps not good. And when you try and push two magnets together, they really they don't go, do they? They force you apart, right? I feel like I've got that at the minute. It's almost like I'm trying to push these two magnets together, and there's no, we don't do this. This is not how it works. We ain't doing it. And I feel like I've got a collision of opinions that are contradicting each other. So my frustration when it comes to this risk-free football that we're playing at the minute, I get why he's doing it, because he's basically putting the foundations in place, strengthening those foundations and saying, well, this is what we're going to build on. And I think as a fan, I'm wanting him to say, well, can we not just have a little bit more attacking football, because there's nothing at risk, but I get what he's doing, which is, no, I'm new to the job. I'm doing this so that next season, the players know exactly what I want from them. And I think my frustration is that I think we'll continue to see this next season, and the risk-free perhaps won't come. So I get why he's doing it, but I think he's almost wasting an opportunity. And see, this is where my contradiction comes in. I think he's wasting an opportunity to play that risk-free football, but at the same time, he's taking advantage of this opportunity by putting the foundations in place. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense, Geo. It makes perfect sense. However, from my world of working in data for as long as I have, this normally happens, this contradiction of opinion normally happens when your data set isn't large enough. This is what normally happens. So there is no right and wrong yet. There is not enough evidence to push it one way or the other. What we've seen is just not enough, and eventually you will get an idea, but it just needs more time. So I feel like that might be playing into it. But you seem to have his number at the moment. I do need to whip out a big bouquet of flowers here, mate, because you called that starting lineup spot on. I think we both said that Emerson would come out, but you got the central midfield bang on as well. So you could kind of read exactly what was coming at the weekend.
I didn't call the Mavropanos Castle one. That's the one.
Yeah,
I got wrong. I think he did the right thing there, by the way. I actually thought Mavropanos was all right. I've seen a lot of criticism for him. I can't throw that criticism toward him. I don't think he was that bad. I don't know if I've still got the pictures, actually. If I do, I do. Do you mind indulging a little bit the player ratings? Actually, I've got 3 screenshots here.
I was just watching it. I'm about 5 minutes in, Geo. So
well, you're just a way to come across all my screenshots from our goal we conceded against Goodison Park. So I've got 3 loaded up here, and this is in defence of Mavropanos, but it's also in criticism of Wan-Bissaka. A little bit of criticism, but more observation on Todibo and Carlos Soler. So this is the first graphic. So this is the attack that happens, which leads to the goal. So that's Chermiti with the ball. He's away to have a shot, but you can see Mavropanos there. He's the one closing the Everton striker down. Jake O'Brien, the goal scorer, is next to Thomas Tuchel. Also, what you can see is the massive gap between Gay and Soler. They're both comfortably outside 18-yarder at this point. Check the time, 54 seconds on the clock. Let's move forward 5 seconds. The shots happen. Thomas Tuchel flicked it away. Alcaraz now has the ball, but look at the gap from Wan-Bissaka and Alcaraz. Now, this is a stationary picture, and I think these things can sometimes be misleading. It's a bit of, trust me, bro, I'm telling you. But Wan-Bissaka doesn't close him down. He sort of looks like he's running towards him. He doesn't. He slows down. It's an easy cross. But the reason I took this screenshot is for, look at Carlos Soler. He has clocked the run of Gay. He's looking at him. He's checked over his shoulder. He sees the run. Unfortunately, though, doesn't really do much about it. But also, now look where Jake O'Brien is. He's number 15 for Everton. He's next to Todibo. Mavropanos and Souček are now at the front post due to Mavropanos was trying to close down the shot. The person that took the shot is now outside the box. He's at the other side of Jared Bowen. Souček's there because he's just flicked the padded effort away. Now here's the third shot, and this is the third screenshot. The ball's halfway across the box here. But look where Jake O'Brien is. Now, let me just go back on the clock, 59 seconds on the clock. O'Brien's next to Todibo. 3 seconds later, Todibo's in the same place, but Jake O'Brien is now, bang, he's in there. Mavropanos is doing his utmost to get back in because he spots O'Brien's run and decides to make a run for it. There's just far too much to do in little time. So that was my defence of Mavropanos and a bit of criticism of Todibo and Wan-Bissaka in observation over Carlos Soler. So Mavropanos, I thought he was all right, actually, on Saturday. I think Porter made the right call defensively. Good result, though. I was happy with the result. Still am. Good result, predictable result. I think most people were feeling a draw, to be honest with you. And I think it's a result that suits Potter as well as David Moyes. I think both managers are fine. And he got a good reception, David Moyes, from the West Ham fans and players as well. Any players caught your eye for good or bad reasons?
Not really, and this is the problem, isn't it? It's just, like we said, it's just a bit meh, just move on.
Yeah. I mean, you're not going to have much fun watching that player ratings, to be honest with you. There's nothing, there's nothing scary or good or bad in there. I've got a weird analogy, though, when it comes to how we've been utilising Lucas Paqueta. I bring up, believe it or not, I bring up Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. So there's a really random analogy coming your way, Frankie. And speaking of Wan-Bissaka, though, no call up to the England squad. Do you think he's been mugged off a little bit? Or
no, I don't. For me, Wan-Bissaka, for all of his good things, if you want to play for England, I think you've got to do everything good. That should be anyway. It's not. We know that with the England squad. Some people seem to find themselves in there undeservedly. But I think when you're out of it and you're trying to break into the England manager's mindset, similar to where he didn't close down there, I think he's too standoffish at times.
Yeah.
He almost invites people onto him. It's almost like a little game he plays in his own mind. He sort of says, go on then, I'll still catch you. I'm like, no, engage and stop that. Don't do it. I really just think sometimes I'm like, what are you doing? You know you've got the pace to recover it, but don't allow them to have the space that they do at times, and don't allow them to have a run on you. I'd much rather see him defend a little. It's hard. Players like Wan-Bissaka, they're not traditional type players. They do things a little bit differently. When he came, I got a lot of criticism because I said I actually preferred him from an attacking perspective than a defensive perspective, and I got absolutely slated for it. But watching him now, I still think he brings a strong attacking threat, and I worry about him more defensively. I do. I know he can. He's got these spider legs, and he makes these tackles, and he does all this bits and pieces. I get it. But sometimes I just sit there and I just think, why are you not engaging higher up? Why are you standing off? It just, I pull my hair out of it at times. And for that reason, that gives me enough to say that an England manager watching that may feel the same way and have nervous reasons for leaving him out.
Yeah, I do think his positioning defensively is questionable. His defensive actions, very good. His positioning, it's not always the greatest. I'm the other way around for you. I've never been convinced by Wan-Bissaka's attacking side of the game. And I actually think Saturday was a good example of why I'm not convinced by it. I felt against Newcastle, he was pinned right back. Harvey Barnes done a number on him against Newcastle. Wan-Bissaka couldn't get forward. But I felt against Everton, he could get forward. I thought the scope to get forward was there quite a lot. But he didn't really take advantage of that situation, I felt. And if Tuchel continues to play his very similar way to how Potter plays in terms of formation, which, the 3-4-3 with his box midfield, where would Wan-Bissaka fit into the England squad? Would he be seen as a right centre-back or would he be seen as a wing-back? And if it's the wing-back, which is what he's doing under Potter, I don't think he's good enough. And the comparison is Livramento at Wembley yesterday, who was playing over on the left-hand side. I thought he was the man of the match. I thought Livramento was fantastic. Excellent. But going forward, he's really good. Reece James played against Arsenal's central midfield, just back from a long injury, very injury prone, but looked very comfortable playing against Arsenal central midfield, very neat and tidy on the ball. I think England have got better alternatives as a wing-back than they do Wan-Bissaka. And I think they've got better centre-backs than Wan-Bissaka. I think Wan-Bissaka is a good right back, which isn't how I feel Tuchel will be playing with England. So I can understand why they've left him out of the squad. It's like when, there's comparative when Ward-Prowse wouldn't get called up, and I thought, well, they're not looking for a James Ward-Prowse role in the England squad. They don't need him. They need better midfielders than Ward-Prowse. When the call for Dawson for England, he was playing fantastically well for West Ham, but he's just not good enough or suited to the way that England play. It's why I think Nick Pope's been overlooked for years for England, because he's not good enough with the ball at his feet. England require a goalkeeper that can get the ball from their centre-backs and give it. Pope struggles with that aspect. In terms of his high crosses, the best in the league, shot stopping, one of the best in the league, but ultimately that third part, he just wasn't good enough. Pickford's always been better than him. And I think that's why Ramsdale's had a look in over at England over Nick Pope, because he suits the way England play. The way that England as a national team play is completely different to the way a lot of clubs in the Premier League play. So the players will suit the way they play on a Saturday afternoon, but the demand when it comes to pulling on an England shirt is much greater. And I think Wan-Bissaka is unfortunately one of those examples who will be brilliant for the club and will do what's required for West Ham United, but the requirement for England's different, and whether he can step up, I'm not so sure. And I think that's why Bowen will get in, even though he's not having his best season in the West Ham shirt. He's a fantastic footballer, and I think you can overlook the club form a little bit when it comes to really good footballers. So there you go. That's my analysis anyway. And anything West Ham you'd like to discuss before we round it off with the my favourite question to round off the podcast? Any West Ham topics?
Not really. Like I say, we've just we're going into this international break now. We've got a little bit of time to reset. He can do a little bit of work now, and with the players that are still around, look, we're still just trying to find our feet. And like I say, I think the point at the moment, I go back to mid-table mediocrity. I think that's what he's building for us, and I don't think that's going to be good enough. So I do think further down the line we need to see a change, and we need to see more ambition, and we need to see something. But again, like I said, the data set's not big enough at the moment. I think we need more time to just before we go on the turn. I can feel it already. After that last game, it felt like there was some real niggles starting to appear again, and we're already going, this pragmatic manager writing him off left, right, and centre. I'm not sure I'm quite there yet, and just a bit of time, and not too much time. And what you said, because I was watching another one of your videos, I think it was the morning after your live stream where the questions were coming in, and you said about how have people actually watched his second season at Brighton, and that's a really, really good point.
I don't want it to be patronising. I feel like when it comes out my mouth, it is patronising, which is, well, you have that opinion, but what's your opinion? But I do wonder if there's a correlation between people's opinion of Potter going forward and how much they watched Brighton under Potter. I do wonder, because I'll do a video this week exaggerating it, Frankie, but I'll throw two. I'm sure they're facts because I mentioned them in the Play Rating show, funnily enough, and someone goes and Googles it while I'm talking. But I'm going to throw two facts out to you here about Potter at Brighton, and I'm going to do a video just emphasising this. And this is my concern. My concern over Potter isn't necessarily what I've seen of him at West Ham. It's what I've seen of him at Brighton. That's why I have these frustrations, and I wanted to see something different at West Ham. But all I've seen, I genuinely feel like I've watched a continuation of Graham Potter's Brighton so far at West Ham. I feel like he's literally come out of that job and gone into this one. Forget Chelsea. I feel like he's left Brighton last week, come into West Ham this week, and he's taken his blueprint with him, and we've all just started playing like Brighton. You could put Brighton strips on the players on Saturday, and I would have believed that was a Brighton performance that we just seen against Everton. And here's two facts. A, stats that I believe are true, but I need to double check. But someone else, James Gunn's kindly checked them and said that was correct. A, they went 3 months without scoring a goal at home from open play, right? And B, they went 3 months without, and this is two different periods, by the way, and a different period, they went 3 months without winning a game at home. Wow. They won 4 games at home all season. And before someone says, yeah, but build his team, this was Graham Potter's 3rd season at Brighton. He'd built his team, and that was what he came up with. So I think what we're seeing now, I believe, is what we will see next season, even after a summer transfer window, because I think what we're seeing now is what he wants to do.
Absolutely. And we're saying about the fact that it's a kind of a free hit for him from now until the end of the season. He's ignoring that because this is what he wants to do. That's the reason he's ignoring it.
That's why when you say the tide's turning or people are getting frustrated, I am one of those people, because I was wanting to see something that says, Geo, don't worry, in the summer we're going to buy X, Y, Z, and we're going to play better. The football you want to see, we're going to play it next season. Here's the evidence. Here's the fun. And I've literally seen none of it. I've seen, actually, Gio, what we're going to do is that Brighton team that you weren't keen on, that's what you're going to see at West Ham next season. And that's where I'm starting to get a bit frustrated. And to be honest with you, worried, because the whole debate over the last 2 years has been football. It's not been, I don't feel like the debate around Moyes is necessarily overall results based. Now, obviously, we've got thumpings and that, yes, but I'm talking about we finished 6th, 7th, 13th and won a cup, and then 9th. It's that, I'm removing the context, but that is not a bad set of results. If Potter was to come in and do the reverse, which was we finished 9th, then we finished 13th, but we win a trophy, then we finished 7th, then we finished 6th, I think we'd all be delighted with that outcome. It was the journey rather than the destination that was the problem. And I feel like that debate is just a way to continue with with the third manager.
It's I was never keen. Yeah. I don't like his temperament. I actually go back to the press conference as well that he had after the last game. I thought there was the warning sign when he went into that press conference at Chelsea and he didn't know the cameras were rolling and he gave it all, don't miss this place, blah. It's just immature, childish, ridiculous. And then that press conference he had after the Newcastle game, and he gets pressed a little bit on why we're not seeing a little bit more from the team. And then he literally talks about the players and their performances rather than how he's setting the team up. Again, I just totally misread the situation. I hear all of this. He's a fantastic manager. I don't, with his personality and his character, I struggle with it a bit, Gio. I don't like.
You'll find out. You'll find out a little bit because we've already played Chelsea. I don't recall much reception between the players and Potter, but he was there a short time. Fine. We play Brighton soon. We'll see if Potter gets the same reception that David Moyes got from the West Ham players after the West Ham full-time whistle went at Goodison. Moyes was getting cuddles and all sorts from all the boys. Paqueta, Bowen, Souček, Scarles, they're all there. We'll see if Potter gets that from the Brighton players that were there when he was there. I'm trying to think who, Dunk, Veltman, Welbeck. I'm trying to think of all the players that would have been there under Graham Potter. But we'll see what sort of, if he gets that sort of connection that Moyes had. I don't know. Right, Frankie, to wrap it up, how did you get on?
We played Cray Valley, very, very good team. I've seen them play Charlton before, proper little academy, good setup, and it was always going to be a very, very tough game for us. But we come out on top with a 4-3 victory, so very, very happy. Battle like you couldn't believe. The pitch was on a hill like that. I mean, first half, they set it up so they would be attacking downhill in the first half. I think they thought we'll get a nice lead and get an early goal and it will upset us. But they didn't. We battled. We held a clean sheet in the first half, went in 1-0. And then, ended up winners, 4-3 winners. So really, really proud of them this weekend. They did absolutely excellent. I sent you a bit of a super strike from our right winger that was a bit of a serious goal.
To describe it, he took the corner, he got cleared at the front post, back in the direction of the corner kick taker, and he just put his laces through and rifled it between the goalkeeper and the front post from a very, very tight angle.
You can see he means to do it, clear as day.
Yeah,
he's shooting.
It was a belter of the technique for a lad that age, and the power was quite bloody hell. Okay. So you got a player there, and good goal. I was impressed. Was it just the one game you had this weekend?
Yeah. Just the one, 4-3. So we've got a bit of footage and we've got a few images and stuff. So I'll try and get them over to you. And if anyone's interested, we'll put them somewhere that people can have a little look. I am trying to get Geo. That's what I'm trying to get for the boys next, which is it's basically the standard of video recording for players nowadays, and it also does player analysis. So it measures distance run, it measures of it's incredible. It's normally $2,000 for the camera, and then you've got a monthly subscription, which is quite expensive. They've offered it to us because we're an academy team for half price, so offered for £1,000. So I'm trying to get that. If I get that, then I will have somewhere that I can upload every single match for them. So that would be amazing. So I'm pushing around for little bits of potential sponsors at the moment. So if anyone fancies it, then let me know.
Yeah, there you go. Email us, hammerschat@gmail.com, and put you in touch with Frankie. You got a game this weekend, then West Ham don't, but have you got?
We've got a game, we do. We are away. So our fixtures don't always get confirmed until Tuesday at midnight, and they do often change. But we've actually got an Instagram now as well, Geo, which is quite a nice Instagram. So I'll send you over the details for that so people can have a little follow of that as well and see what's going on.
Link in description. Anyway, Frankie, thank you very much. You guys at home enjoyed the podcast. Please do drop a like on it by clicking thumbs up. Subscribe to Hammers Chat. Because West Ham got no game, there'll be a community post going up over on YouTube on the channel over the next few days asking for questions for next week's episode. So if you've got any questions or any topics you want us to tackle, get it in. Anything goes. Within reason, West Ham related ideally. Anything goes, fire it in and we'll get answering it next week. But Frankie, good luck at the weekend. I'll catch you next week.